going on, Jerome's? So this offseason, general manager Kwesi adofo-mensah absolutely got after it on the hibachi, just like onion volcano, tossing shrimp into his hat, squirting sake into people's mouths, and he got after things. Complete overhaul of the quarterback and edge rushing position, and frankly, landing Diamond Dallas Turner as well as J.J. McCarthy. You feel pretty good about life with the Vikings right now. Youth movement, turning the page, the competitive rebuild is completely done. All that stuff. But, of course, let's remember Kwesi's first draft. We were just hoping, sitting, waiting, wishing Jack Johnson styles. Like, okay, Spielman, a lot of liked about Spielman, but things just didn't work out. So let's see what Kwesi and the analytics community can do. And so just look at this class. So a number of these guys aren't on the team anymore. Asazi and Vidarian Lowe. Hopefully Ty Chandler can bust out. Hopefully Jalen Naylor can stay healthy, etc. Ed Ingram, it's competing for one of the starting guard spots. But the first two picks, Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth Jr., are the sticking point. So, of course, yes, the Vikings started off at 12, traded down with the Lions, gave them Jameson Williams. Vikings passed. Did you know that the Vikings passed on Kyle Hamilton and took Lewis Cine? And, of course, Cine hasn't worked out for a myriad of reasons, notably the injury, the compound fracture to his leg in London. And Andrew Booth Jr., number 42 overall, hasn't quite gotten things done either. And, of course, it's very easy to nitpick and whatnot, but the Vikings did trade up to 42 for Booth. They could have had, like Marcus Jones or Cameron Taylor-Britt or whoever. And then, of course, with Cine, it goes back to Kyle Hamilton and whatnot. Also, Winfield Jr., too. So they're in a weird spot where things obviously haven't worked out for 2 seasons now. They could certainly turn things around in training camp this year in year 3. But at a certain point, your draft status shouldn't keep you on the rooster and keep you above someone who may have more talent and someone who the coaches and Kwesi may favor a little bit more. Alec Lewis, the Athletic, wrote about Cine and Booth and what the team is going to do with them going forward. Both defensive backs are buried on the depth chart. The Vikings have the cap space to absorb their contracts, and cutting them could lead to additional opportunities for fringe 53-man contributors. At this point, their ability to earn the trust of the Vikings coaches seems like an uphill battle. Maybe it's possible through day in and day out showings on the practice field, but if that's going to be their approach, there's no time to waste. So basically, they got to come in and play the best ball of their lives just to have a chance to make this roster. And looking at the cornerback and safety depth right now, cornerback-wise, sadly, even without Kyrie Jackson, there is some names that could potentially pass Andrew Booth Jr. in the pecking order. So you got Murph and Shaq, 1 and 2 right there. Mekhi Blackman I would put up there as well with a Caleb Evans, who was also in that 2022 draft class, but has fared much better at the cornerback spot than Andrew Booth Jr. And then you have interesting guys like Dwight McLaughlin, the UDFA from Arkansas, as well as Jalen Williams, who is a coach's favorite and can work the slot. Last year's UDFA out of Indiana. And also AJ Green's had some moments too during OTA. So Booth may be the odd man out in that situation. And safety-wise, forget it. So the Vikings have the best safety trio in the league, Metellus, Beasley, and Harrison Smith. Then you do have Jay Ward as well as Theo Jackson. Theo Jackson has really turned a lot of heads, and I think that he would be the guy. Because remember, when Metellus had to miss some snaps last year, it was Theo Jackson going in and playing the Metellus role. That is important to note. Also, adding to that mix is they moved Najee Thompson to safety, as well as there's some conjecture and rumor and scuttlebutt that Brian Asamoah, the light, fleet-footed linebacker, could also be working some safety as well. So, Lewis Cine has got an uphill climb. And like we said, at a certain point, talent has to win. And I understand that draft pedigree, you want to hang on because financially it sucks to give up on them so quickly, as well as, Kwesi. Kwesi's an analytics guy, but he's human. Like, he's not without ego. And you look at his first draft class and you're like, okay, after 2 seasons, I'm just going to punt on my top 2 picks, guys that I made multiple trades for. I don't know, but it is what it is the first 2 years. And part of that, part of Cine's inability to get on the field, yes, he was dinged up in training camp his rookie season, as well as you did have Metellus and Bynum and rising up, as well as, of course, Harrison Smith was there. But the broken leg still plays a part in this as well. But he was the number 32 overall pick in 2022. He's played 10 defensive snaps, 118 special team snaps. He has 1 tackle. For Booth, so Booth has actually gotten more extensive run, mainly in 2022. He's totaled 256 defensive snaps over 2 seasons, which is roughly about 10% of the Viking snaps over the last 2 years. 161 special team snaps, 19 tackles, 1 pass broken up, 0 interceptions. And also, both of these guys just don't seem to have the eye for defensive coordinator Brian Flores, and haven't gotten the time of day. And when there's snaps to be had, it's been other guys going in. Jay Ward, Theo Jackson at safety, notably Theo Jackson. It's been Caleb Evans, Mekhi Blackman ahead of Booth on the depth chart last year as well. So it's going to be an uphill climb. Now, financially, the Vikings do have the cap space both this year and going forward where they can take the hits. So you could hope to trade them. I don't think that's feasible. I think that teams understand what's going on here, and absent them just lighting things up in preseason and catching the eye of some pro personnel evaluators, I just don't see the Vikings getting anything outside of maybe like a conditional 7th-round pick or a draft pick swap. But in terms of cuts, so if Lewis Cine was cut this at 53-man cuts, the Vikings would absorb $5.4 million dead and then have $1.384 dead in 2025 as a proration of his signing bonus, because we are obviously post-June 1st. So the cap hits will be spread over 2 seasons. He does have $4.02 million in guaranteed money remaining, his base salary this year and next year. Oh, by the way, so Cine was number 32, Booth was number 42, only 10 pick difference, but of course Cine being the last pick of the first round. So you see the difference in the guaranteed money after 2 years. $4 million for Cine, just under $1 million for Booth. It's good to be a first round pick. It is. For Booth, it's a lot more palatable. If they cut him, they'd have $1.754 million dead this year, and then $805K dead next year, the proration of his signing bonus. He does have $949,000 of his base salary this year guaranteed. But also, I'm sure that the Vikings do have offsets on both these guys. So if and when they would sign somewhere else, that would offset versus what the Vikings owe them and what would be dead against the cap. But either way, it comes down to, hey, if it comes down to one roster spot and say Jay Ward or Theo Jackson has massively outplayed Lewis Cine, what does it come down to? At a certain point, do financials and first round draft pedigree protect you? Probably not. If they deem that Theo Jackson, Jay Ward are simply better players, and they don't want to risk them getting down to the practice squad through waivers initially, that's going to be a decision. And same thing with Booth. I mean, if McLaughlin and Jalen Williams are impressing and you'd rather have them on the 53, I mean, you're just going to eat that cost. So it's a spot where they're not beyond redemption, but they're really going to have to get things going early on in training camp. Early and often, they're going to have to make splash plays. They're going to have to get the trust of the coaches, and also they're going to have to show up and show out in preseason. And that might not even be enough at this point, given the stacked depth chart. But also, if they show out well in preseason or joint practices, maybe the Vikings would be able to trade them, but we'll see. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Could 2022 top 2 selections, Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth Jr., be cut or traded? We'll see. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.